One mark of a great bunker player is recognizing different sand conditions and adapting. You know, obviously some bunkers you walk in, you can't dig your feet in the ground, the bunker's so hard. Maybe there's no sand in there. The very next bunker, you know, you walk in, your footprints sink, there's too much sand, maybe it's wet, thick. And I've done my best to replicate that. I've scooped the sand out of this area and tried to make it a super firm, like there's no sand in the bunker. And here's one where there's too much sand. Let's just go through kind of how you should think when you encounter these situations. All right, so let's go not enough sand first, super firm bunkers. All right, so here's the question you got to ask yourself. In firm conditions, when you hit the ball, is it going to come out fast or is it going to come out slow? And if you've thought that through, hopefully you realize the ball's coming out quickly, right? So you need the most loft that you have. That would probably be your lob wedge. And then in brick hard conditions, I'm trying to slide that club under the ball, and it's hard it's difficult to do if the sand is very firm, right? So I need less bounce. Less bounce would be my friend. More loft would be my friend. That means even regardless of the distance, it's probably almost always a lob wedge shot. Lastly, planning on it coming out fast, I probably want to steepen my angle of attack. And I like to do that through arc width. So if I stretch my arms out, that would be wide, that would be a shallow. If I let my elbows fold and be narrow in here, that would be steep. So bare ground, it's going to come out fast, lob wedge pretty much every time. I'm going to create angle by being nice and narrow and play for that kick forward. So throw that club under the ball. All right. Really good contact, good distance throw. Came out a little left, but I'm pretty happy with that. All right, now I have a different situation. Now there's so much sand in there, I could go whiff underneath it. Well, now lob wedge would actually be the worst club you could pick. It's got the least amount of bounce and the most amount of loft. And as you can imagine, this ball is going to come out slow, right? So I need something with less loft, more bounce. Luckily, if you have your set makeup proper, and this is the way most manufacturers do it, they create a sand wedge with more bounce than the lob. So I have actually 14 degrees of bounce on this one, and I need to create a little bit wider arc. So I don't dig so much. Same distance, different club. I'll go a little less into my left, a little more 50-50, and I'll feel a little stretch in my arms there. And I might have to add energy, even though I have this club. Look something like this. Now you can see that 54 degree actually interacted with the sand condition much more. It didn't dig, and that's bounce being your friend. So first step, identify your lie. You might have a normal lie, no adaptation needed. You might have packed bare sand, lob wedge, narrower, steeper delivery, probably less speed. You get too much sand, it's wet, it's soupy thick. Always your sand wedge, a little wider arc, a little bit more speed. And that's the type of shot making you need to get your handicap down under 10, near 0, or plus. All right, so obviously we encounter all types of lies, upslopes, downslopes, balls buried, ball above our feet, and we need to adapt just like we did in the grass. Ton of sand in there. I got the fried egg, maybe even push it down a bit more. Typically what we need to do obviously is steepen the angle of attack, and we want the ball to pop up. And now it's not going to have a ton of spin on it. It should hit and roll forward, but you obviously want to get it up in the air. The way to do that is to take your normal sitting stance and get a little taller, get a little closer, and move the ball further back. Taller and closer is going to steepen the deliver for me, especially with the ball back. And don't even worry about following through. I don't set it nearly as open, and I'm just going to try and throw the head of the club in the sand about 2 inches behind the ball, and you can even leave the club in there. So no need to really even follow through. It's about effort and throw the throw into the sand that creates the speed to pop it up and get it out. All right, happy with the contact. Obviously a difficult shot. 15 feet's not ideal, but not awful either. If I wanted to create a bit more spin, so that was certainly high, but you had the forward spin. I got a downhill shot, so not that easy, but I could do the same thing and just open the face a little bit more. And remember, anytime I open the face, I want the handle forward. So I'm gonna try that again, see if I can hit a little softer. So remember, you can just throw it in there and just leave it in there. All right, handle forward, face more open, taller, closer. Throw it in. Yeah, quite a bit softer, so that just open face. So you can play with the face a little bit as far as whether you want to hit it far or short, and you can also change clubs. If I had to hit a 30-yarder, I'm certainly not going to do it with my lob wedge. But let's just go through the keys one more time. The first step is recognition. Easy to do when the ball's buried in the sand. You just can't sit in there and make your normal motion. You need to steepen the delivery. To do that, you go closer, ball a little further back, which creates the angle that you need, and then you just throw the club in and leave it in there. And if you need a little extra softness, we'll just spin the face open. That should be all you need. You don't need to get all these up and in. If you could just get them on the green and get 1 out of 3 up and in, that would be a huge win. Okay, my ball is on an upslope. I need to adapt. A lot of players actually find this easy. I personally find it more difficult because if I make a mistake, my delivery is too steep. But for those of you that are shallow, would love this condition. And that should be your first cue that if you're kind of neutral, we need to shallow it out to get the contact we want. Think about how the club comes into the sand. Well, now I have the hill kind of creating or adding angle to the delivery. I need to stay shallow. Now, I think there's a wrong way and a right way to do this. And very similar to how we did it in finesse, I'm going to give you the same advice, essentially. So upslope, here's what I don't want you to do. Don't lean back and try and swing along the hill. That's a minuscule mistake away from a debilitating mistake, which is like sailing at 40, 50 yards over the green, double or triple bogey. The easier way to do it would be narrow, kind of open stance. Remember, the hill adds loft, so I'm going to defer down a club. There went my 60, I got my 54. Remember, upslopes add loft, right? And the reason why I want open is because I want to swing a little around my body, a little draw mentality, and that draw mentality shallows the delivery. So you just got to match how much draw with how much slope, and that's just experience. You're just going to have to get in here and hit some on a severe slope and some on a gentle slope. So narrow open, slightly around. The same motion is really important. You don't want to drag the handle across. I want to release the club. I'm not leaning back, I'm just centered. And it's basically just like that. You can see I didn't take too much sand on the upslope. That's kind of the rookie mistake. I didn't lean back and scull across the green. I just let the club go around, released it. The ball just popped up, nice and easy. Pretty gentle swing, and it was because I had the 54 and I didn't want to swing too fast. So I hope those cues help you adapt for uphill lies. Okay, so I got a downhill lie here, and let's just be real. This is a really tough shot. What I want to do is just get it on the green. I talked earlier about tour average being 8%. and shots like this typically ruin the average, right? So they hit plenty of shots to 2, 3, 4 feet, and you get a shot like this. If you can hit it to 15 or 20 feet, sometimes that's fine. All right, so I have both my clubs. Let's pick the right one. As I steepen the angle, I'm probably leaning this way. That de-lofts the club. It's one reason why it makes it a hard shot. So out goes the 54, pretty much 60 for everything. And all I'm going to do is lean down the hill and make sure that I release the club to the left. Now, here the rookie mistake is, oh, I got to hit the ball first, and they'll scoot the ball back in their stance. You can't do that. The ball won't elevate and get out of the bunker. So keep the ball in its normal position, which is certainly forward to center, I would say. Now I'm going to lower my left shoulder, let my head slide down the hill, and the handle has to stay forward, face open. Now I'm set up to create the angle I need. I just need to maintain my swing and not lose balance. All right, that's not too bad. It landed just on. You know, I got about an 8 or 9 footer. Sometimes, like if I had a perfect lie, I might not be happy with that shot, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm thrilled with that. Let's just get it on the green, give yourself a chance to make the putt. So let's just review. Downhill lie, pick the right club, out goes the sand wedge, in goes the lob, the ball stays forward. You're creating angle in your setup, and then you've just learned this beautiful swing. You just gotta stay there and execute. Keeping pressure on that left knee and keeping it flexed is really important, because if I stabilize here, I can really let the club go and my weight stays forward. And if you straighten or post the leg, you're going to be too shallow and chunk it or skull it across the green. So downhill lies, it's a hard shot. Let's just get it on the green. Give yourself a putt. Okay, dramatic lie with the ball below my feet. Once again, can be a difficult shot, but part of understanding and being a tournament type player, a traveling player, is hitting these type of shots and functioning. And you're not going to do it if all you do is sit in the middle of the bunker and hit normalized shots. So let's make sure when we train, we hit all different types of shots. We'll go through some cool games you can play. But anyway, back to the ball below my feet. I have my 2 wedges. I'm not going to come out to the cart with just one. I got a very good chance of having the wrong wedge in my hand. So I'm out here, I'm assessing, I have choices. Well, just like out of the grass, I want a little bit of a fade mentality. Remember, fade mentalities come up short. If it's between clubs, I'll probably pick the longer one. So I'm going to say I got my sand wedge instead of my 60. Fade mentality, I'll dig my feet in for sure. Top of the club, fade mentality is just a little bit more across, and I'm going to add angle by keeping my weight in my left leg. Typically they come out a little short, so that's a good reason why I got the 54. So pressure in the left, little fade mentality swing. Get it out, get it on, give yourself a chance to make a putt. I think technique is important, but it's not as important as experience. So many of us just hit normal shots in our practice, and then we get on the first hole and this is what we have, and you feel completely unprepared. So when we play games and compete, we're going to make sure that's not the reason why we fail. Okay, sitting here with our last adaptation, and that's the ball dramatically above your feet. I need to shallow the delivery, and there's a trick or two to get it started online as well. Let's just go through it. So the key thing to understand is that if I have a 60-degree wedge and I put a tee on the face of the club, that tee, now if the shaft's straight up and down, is 60 degrees up in the air. So if I put it up here like a baseball bat and put a tee on there, the face is actually 60 degrees left of the target, even though it might look like I'm aiming at the pin. So typically this ball is going to come out to the left. I can counteract that with a little less loft, and I can counteract that with a little more open face, and I can also shallow my swing like we've done in the past with the slight draw mentality. And I think, quite honestly, I would do all three as severe as this slope is. So out goes the lob wedge. I got my sand. I'm going to go taller legs, so obviously if I sit, it just makes it worse. Taller legs, slightly narrower, and I'm going to actually aim to the right here. Slight aim to the right, and the reason why, it doesn't matter where my body is lined up, it really matters where the face is lined up. So believe that or not, that face is going to send this ball right to the pin, I believe. And then from this position, I'm going to go slight draw mentality and shallow this out. All right, now I like that. The direction was good. I obviously need a little more energy, and actually it was a bit too steep for me, a little too much sand, which is why it came out just a little short. So maybe I could even go more around there. Once again, this club face, if I'm reviewing, it looks to the right, but if you put a T on it, it's pointing to the left. A little taller legs, a little around, commit to the release. There we go. All right, so once again, I can't say this enough. If you only practice flat lies in the middle of the bunker, you might look good in practice, but you're not going to play good when the time comes on the golf course. We need to practice all types of lies, and you need to know the slight adjustments you need to make to have the consistency and control so you can play great golf. I'm going to show you a specialty shot I call chunk and run, or a shot adaptation, and it's for a specific purpose. I'm going to be honest, as a coach, I don't like this shot because I don't like the way the club interacts with the turf, but I certainly could understand why it would be a benefit. And let's just describe the scenario. I got a long pin, 30 yards, I got a hill or a tier in the middle, and maybe there's water long, where if I'm gonna fly it over the tier and land it by the hole, that becomes a scary shot because a miss long is a penalty. So in this case, I kind of want to just dump it on the front of the green and let it roll. So that means I got to change basically all my technique. So instead of sitting up low stability, balls with feet, low handle, which is going to create effective loft and height and spin, I'm going to adapt by getting taller, closer. Handle goes up, face squares a little bit. Now the angle of attack is a little bit steeper. So I have a steeper angle of attack with less loft. The ball should not fly as far. Hit and release. The motion otherwise is very similar, just a different setup. So that should hit, start to release, go down the hill. Not bad. That's probably less risky than really lowering the handle and trying to fly it over the hill in the air. So let's just go through that again. First step is recognition. Oh, there's water behind. I gotta roll it over a tier. I don't want to try and fly it. I'm gonna just roll it. Adapt. Taller, closer. Less open face. Nice fluid rhythm. That was probably even a little more chunky, a little less runny. Probably just a little too far behind that, but you get the idea. So when you do your random practice, you're doing short-sided shots, high soft ones, runners, long, short. Just make sure you have the right variety. And remember, you're a shot maker, and you have to have that mentality if you're going to be a tournament player and shoot low scores. Okay, I'm in the bunker. I gotta show you what I call the Seve drill, and it's true to my heart because I learned most of my stuff by watching Seve Ballesteros up close and personal. He's good friends with my brother, and I was lucky enough to go out on the course and have him practice and even have dinner with him. So he's kind of my idol. And he used to do this drill all the time. Now he did it with a 3-iron, and I'm a club pro, so I'm doing it with a 7-iron. So you might try a 7-iron or maybe even a 9-iron if you're just starting out. But you need to learn to use the back of the club, release it. And remember, the last thing we want to do is come into out. So if I'm going to hit a 7-iron, I'm going to pop it up over this lip and get it to go to the pin without going across the green. I got to create loft. And that motion, the motion that's required to hit the 7-iron there, is the exact motion I need to do when I have my other clubs. It's just exaggerated. And at the end, I'm going to pull out my lob wedge and make the same motion, and the ball should just pop straight up in the air. So the key to adding loft of a 7-iron to get this over the lip is to lower the handle. You might have to lower the handle lower than the level of your knees. Now, if I have the face like this, there's a lot of loft on it. But if I drag the handle across, I'm just going to shank it, right? So I need lower body stability, and I need to release this club that way and pop this club up, and I need not a lot of energy either. So I'm going to choke down, put the handle between my knees, make sure the clubs, you can see the swing direction from this view is definitely this way, which we know is correct. And let's see what touch I got here. So the game will be, I'm going to hit a Sevi drill until I get it on the green and inside 9 feet. So I got my 9-foot circle of tees out there. All right, for the late great Sevi Ballesteros. Let's see what I can do. Almost hit a little too far behind it. That's one. Low hands up, throw that head. Well, a little thin. I'm not deterred though, hang in there. You got to be tougher in your problems. All right, come on, James. I'm going to do it this time. There it is. Sit. Almost. All right, 3. Same thing with less energy, ought to be perfect. You see how that ball popped up in the air even though I had a 7-iron. It landed pretty soft. Last try. There it is. Okay, so I got the right distance, perfectly pin eye. It's a little to the right, so a little outside. But what if I took that same motion and then I got my lob wedge and just made more energy? The ball would have to pop up in the air because the delivery, I just need more energy, right? All right, so I'm going to learn from that. You can't hit high soft shots if your hand's up. You got to get that handle down. Low hands, more energy, should pop right up. You can see doing that drill helped me hit it higher with spin. So if you hit nothing but chunk and runs, you can't put spin on the ball, try the Sevi drill, turn it into a game, have some fun, pull out your bunker club you use most and see what it does.